Hey everybody, welcome to Exploring Temecula. Today's video, we're going to do the pros and cons of the 3 most popular ways to sell your home in Southern California. For sale by owner, with a brokerage, or you can sell to an investor. The first one we're going to start off with is for sale by owner. Now, the pros of selling it yourself, the biggest one is you're going to save on some commission. In Southern California, the average commission paid out to the listing broker who pays the selling broker or the buyer's agent in the contract is going to be anywhere from 4 to 6%. So if you as a for sale by owner list the property yourself, you're going to save on half of that. So just an example, if you were going to pay a listing brokerage 5% on a $500,000 home, you will save around $12,500 on commission paying the listing brokerage. For my advice on that, I would 100%, whether you're listing on Zillow, Redfin, any of those sites that you have heard of or been to in the past, I would offer a commission to the buyer's agent, because if you don't, chances are 90%, maybe more, of agents are not going to want to show your home because they're not going to work for free. Another pro selling for sale by owner is you might have a little more control in regards to how your home is marketed, what photos go on the Zillow or Redfin sites. Also, you're going to be able to pick and choose when you want your home to be shown, and you will get to research your own escrow and title company, and you will be able to choose that. Having said that, per the contract, you can still, with a regular sale with a brokerage, pick your own escrow and your own title company. Usually, the brokerage or the agent has relationships, so they just use theirs. But ultimately, if you sold with a brokerage or a listing agent, you would still have the option in the contract. If you had a relationship with an escrow or a title company, you just tell your agent that you want to use them, and more often than not, that is fine. Okay, so now the cons of selling for sale by owner. I would say the number one thing, and there's a way to alleviate this problem, but the number one con for selling for sale by owner is you just don't understand what is going on truly in your neighborhood, in the market, and you could price your house wrong, whether it's too high or too low. How to stop or how to not have that problem, my suggestion is if you do sell FSBO, to get an appraisal done in your home so you have a good starting point of what your home is actually worth. Number 2, and this is just from personal experience, from years and years of doing this, not only does a real estate agent sell your home, but if you find a good agent, they have learned over the years how to market your home properly, whether that's Facebook ads, whether that's Google ads, whether that's just social media in general. And if the agent is an outstanding agent or a very good agent, they're going to know how to market your home properly, which will drive traffic to the house. And when you are a FSBO or you're not in the marketing field, oftentimes you're not going to get that traffic from social media, from postcards, whatever that agent does to market their properties. That is something that they've learned over time, and you're not necessarily going to have the knowledge or expertise to do that in many cases. And finally, the last con for selling your home for sale by owner would just be the legal aspect. There is literally hundreds of disclosures, paperwork, and although it is not fun to do or fill out, it does protect you moving forward and after the sale of the property. So I would say that, having those disclosures and having someone being able to explain those disclosures for you and to you so you can fill them out properly is very, very important. Okay, so next up, I wanted to talk about the traditional sale through a brokerage in Southern California, and we'll start off with the cons. The number one con selling with a brokerage, as I mentioned with FSBO, you're going to have to pay an extra 2.5% to the listing brokerage. Now, having said that, and I might be a little biased, if you look at the stats, and you can look this up yourself on Google, generally speaking, the sale from or through a brokerage does often net you more money. If you find a good agent that knows how to market, that knows how to price your property, that knows how to negotiate, all of those things is going to make that gap of the saved commission a lot tighter, and in many cases go above and beyond what you are paying them of that 2 to 2.5%. Okay, the second con for selling with a traditional brokerage, and I'm going by my experience over the last 12 or 15 years, and I am not saying this is many agents. I'm not saying, I don't know, but there have been many cases in the past where the listing brokerage does not look out for your needs specifically. Meaning, are they taking an offer because they get an extra commission? Are they double ending the property? I mean, there's many different things that agents can do to service themselves over you. I'm not saying it happens all the time. I'm not even saying it's common, but you really have to feel good about the agent that you're hiring, and you have to have a trust factor there, because you need an agent that is representing you and only you. This is why I hate dual agency. This is why I hate working with both buyer and seller, because there could be a bias at some point in the escrow, and I just personally like to take that off the table. Okay, so next up, the pros of selling in a traditional escrow with a brokerage. It's going to mirror a lot of the things that I talked about with FSBO, but first thing, the legal aspect of the transaction. We are in California. You want yourself to be covered. A good agent's going to understand the paperwork. They're going to understand the contract. They're going to understand contingency removals. They're going to make sure that timeframes are met. They're going to negotiate what is in your best interests. And oftentimes that is very, very valuable to you. And you, at the end of the transaction, you're ultimately going to get more money for your home. Number two, if you get a good agent, I can't stress this enough, they're going to price your property correctly. You should be in this current market on the market for anywhere between 10 and 25 to 30 days. If it's going beyond that, you're going to get less for your property. Maybe if you go below that, there are certain properties right now that are selling in 1 to 2 days that are priced correctly and really upgraded and beautiful homes, and that's just the case. But that sweet spot right now is 10 to 25 days. And again, a good agent is going to price your property so that happens, because in the end, I promise you, if you sell in between that time frame, you are going to have a smoother escrow. There's going to be less chance of it falling out of escrow, and ultimately you are going to be happier, get more money at the end of the sale. Okay, and finally, you can sell to an investor. And you see commercials, you see ads on Facebook, I'll buy your home, any condition, any price, all of this stuff that they're telling you. Now, there are definitely some pros in selling to an investor, but I would say that this is one of the least advantageous ones for you, in my opinion. So we'll start off with the pros of selling to an investor. Number one, it's often cash or hard money, so you can close in 7 days. If you have a home that was gifted to you or needs a ton of work and it doesn't qualify for a loan, many times that might be your best option. Selling to somebody cash, of course, you're going to get a little less than on the open market, but then you just don't have to deal with appraisals, inspections, all of those things that definitely are going to hinder and oftentimes make the property fall out of escrow. Next, you're not going to have to pay commissions. Now, in my opinion, if you don't think the investor is coming in there and taking that off the top many times because they have to resell it, just be very, very careful. They advertise no commissions, but when they turn around and flip that property, yes, they might have a real estate agent that is part of their investment team that saves them on the listing commission, but they're still going to have to pay that buyer's commission, and that is somehow going to be worked into the price that they offer you. Okay, so some of the cons that I've seen over the years. Number one, an investor is going to throw a number at you and they're going to come into the house and they're going to be like, oh, I didn't know about this. actually, unless you want to drop the price $10,000 more, we're not going to be able to go through with the sale because I didn't know this or this or this was wrong with the property. Number two, these investors are in it for one thing, and that is profit. They're not looking out for your best interest whatsoever. They are looking out for theirs. Don't ever forget that. I don't care what investor you are talking to, who is offering you what. They want the property so they can make money somehow. Okay, and finally, ultimately, out of all three of these options, the investor is going to net you the least amount of money in 99% of cases. And I just wanted to give an example of this. I recently had a client, she wanted to sell a home. She didn't want to go through the escrow process, so she contacted an investor, and the offer wasn't too bad, to be honest. But what the investor didn't do, which I did, is I called all the pendings, and two of the pendings was closing for $20,000 or $30,000 more than what it was listed for. So ultimately, doing a little bit of homework and basically calling the pendings, I was able to get my client, I think, around $35,000 or $40,000 more on the sale of her home than if she would have went with the investor. So those are just a couple options that you have, the pros and cons to each. Hopefully this helped you. If you want a free home value, just contact us below, and we're licensed as both an appraisal company and a brokerage, and we will give you a very accurate range of what your home is worth, and help you on your way to sell your home, whichever option you choose. Thank you from Greenleaf Real Estate. Joel Daniel, talk to you later.